I often refer to the altar experience. I write about it in the book that I wrote, Dreams and Visions and Stories of Faith. You can find it on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble. But in the book, I talk about Abraham and how that Abraham, the father of faith, was a man who had an experience with God at an altar. And then after the altar experience, God sent him out to a land of Canaan. And while he was there was a famine in the land. And Abraham, instead of being obedient to God and being where God wanted him to be, went on down to Egypt. And while he was there in Egypt, God never spoke to him. God protected him, but there was no dialogue until Abraham went back to the altar, the original place where he had talked to God in the beginning, and the dialogue resumed. Well, Jacob and his brother Esau, growing up in that household, had heard that story and had heard the stories of their grandfather Abraham and their father Isaac, and how that God had met them and they had met God in a very personal way, and there had been that altar experience. But so often as young people hear the stories, they're just stories because they have not yet experienced and encountered the true and the living God. Now, Jacob was a man who very much lived up to his name, meaning supplanter. And he tricked his brothers twice from the birthright and the blessing. And how Esau was very, very angry. And Jacob's mother said, you better flee. And the father agreed. And so Jacob, fleeing back to the east in an area called Luz, later to be named Bethel, and there on the way he encountered God. And it's a tremendous story if you read it in the book of Genesis, because Jacob there, it said that he had laid out his bed ready to settle down for the night, and he saw a vision in a dream. And in that dream he saw heaven, and he saw angels ascending from earth to heaven on a ladder. And when he awoke from the dream, he said, this is a terrible place. And he says, this is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate to heaven. And then, after that experience, he made a vow to God. And he said that whatever God blessed him with, 10% of that would be given back to God. That's how serious he took this vow. And I believe that Jacob became a changed man after his altar experience. And I do believe in the altar experience. And I believe that when a person truly becomes born again, it's because that they have had an experience with God and they realize that God is spiritual, that they are spiritual, and that they can have a relationship with a spiritual God. And it is life-changing, life-transforming. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.